स्टार्ट कराने Viking museum එක එකමගේ හීනයක් මම දන්නේ ඇයි මම මෙච්චර Vikings රට කැමති කියලා නෑ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ වෙනසට මම කැමති ඒ නරකින් අපිට කිය වෙනසට Oh, ship. This is the ship.
You can see that the hull is especially built to exactly house the ship. It fits exactly, right? Right, let's go down here to the map. I said it the wrong way around. It's east to west. The expedition crossing it was east to west, not west to east. Sorry. All right, come here so you can see the map. Go. It's a bit skew, but I twisted east and west around. Sorry. So the first expedition of skiing across Greenland was here from the east coast to the west coast to Nuuk. After surviving that and learning a lot about surviving in the Arctic from the Inuit population, he went back to Oslo. Then he contacted a boat builder, Colin Archer, who was famous for making those small towing boats that held big ships to anchor and to cross narrow paths. And those towing boats are famous for being very shallow in the water. They don't go deep. So that shape of lying like almost like a coconut onto the water, so round, is what Fridtjof Nansen wanted for the FRAM ship. It is very round for this type of big ship. That is because he wanted the ship to not get stuck in the ice and get crushed. It wanted it to be round like a coconut so that it would be pushed up by the ice and lie on top of it, so it wouldn't be destroyed by the power of the ice. That plus all these extra reinforcements and 3 layers, amongst which green hardwood to build the ship, many extra ribs compared to normal ships to make it really, really strong. Because he had found out that there were remnants of ships that got lost in the Arctic that had stranded on the coast here while they got lost somewhere there. So then he thought, wait a minute, the pole, maybe there's no land under it. Maybe it's just one big moving sheet of ice. And to be able to prove that theory, he built a ship that could get stuck in the ice to prove that the ship could. So he sailed over Siberia, sailed into the ice, and then got stuck into the ice. You see the erratic pattern of how the ice slowly drifts. Really, really tricky to steer a boat once it's stuck, right? So when he noticed here that the boat would not get all the way to the North Pole, Nansen, together with Johansen, 2 people, left, that's the green line, the boat, just with enough food carrying behind them while skiing to try and reach the North Pole. They had to give up here and turn around. But on their way back, they couldn't find the ship anymore. They didn't know where it was and how it was, how the ice was drifting. So they had to ski all the way to the edge of the ice to the Franz Josef lands. Luckily, there was a British explorer here that found them and brought them back to Norway. That's how they survived, the 2 of them. While the rest of the crew, there were in total 12 people in that first expedition, while the rest of the crew, the 10 people, got unstuck from the ice there and then sailed back you see that there's only 1 week between the two crews meeting again. So the Nansen and Johansen, the two that skied, and then the rest of the crew here. After they arrived and the expedition was successful and they had actually proven that it is a turning sheet of ice, they were welcomed like national heroes in Norway. And it is a big part of the national Norwegian identity that we like cross-country skiing and we are explorers, we like to be outdoors. It's really a big part of the Norwegian identity. Now it's a lot of noise, so let's go upstairs. Now we'll talk more about the boat when we're up there.
We can go by.
You sure?
Sure.
Does everybody want?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Okay, then we take the steps, not the elevator.
Oh, this you can see nothing.
It's good to move a bit when you've been sitting in the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is this?
That is Nansen, fleet of Nansen. That's the Norwegian polar explorer. The captain that was in charge of that first expedition in the ice.
Viking bak. Dadar newak megi kai. When built this ship? When? Yeah.
When it was built?
The ship.
In the 1890s.
1890s.
Yes, 1880s, 1890s. Yes.
This is the actual ship, right?
This is the actual ship, yes.
Actual ship.
So it's not a copy. This is really the ship that they went to the North and the South Pole with.
නැව තියලා බිල්ඩින් එක හදන්න ඇති.
So
නැව තියලා බිල්ඩින් එක හදන්න
the
ඇති.
ship was on many expeditions. So it was the North Pole one that I talked about. It was the first one. The second one was more of a scientific expedition that was in the north of Canada. So when you're in Canada and look on the map and you see a lot of Norwegian names for all those islands and such, that is because there was this Norwegian exploration to map out that area there. And then the third one was when Amundsen, who was on the first expedition as well, but then he became the captain of the third expedition. He borrowed the ship from Nansen. And then he didn't tell Nansen that he wanted to go to the South Pole. He said to Nansen that it would be another expedition to the North Pole. And Nansen was, okay, you can borrow the ship. But then he didn't tell the crew or anything. They were already on their way, and first, while they are at sea, he tells the crew, we're not going north, we're going south. And then the crew all agreed, and they went to the South Pole. Because he had heard that Scott, the British, were trying to reach the South Pole, and he wanted to be ahead of Scott. So it became like this race to reach the South Pole. They arrived in 1910. At the South Pole, and they built up a base. And they made some storage depots with food and what's it called, petrol for making the food, like wheat, and then they went for it in December. So they had dogs, sled dogs, and they had a specific breed of sled dogs that they knew those dogs, they were cannibals. So that they had a lot of dogs when they left, but they also had dog food, if you understand. So the weakest dog on the way became food for the rest of the dogs. Yeah, it's not a very pretty thing to think about, but it was very efficient because then you didn't have to carry so much dog food and stuff. While the British, they wanted to use the very first versions of snow scooters and horses on the South Pole. That didn't go as well. So Amundsen ended up beating Scott to the South Pole and left a letter for Scott, so on the South Pole with like a Norwegian flag. It's like, when you see this, take back the letter so that there's proof that I was there before you. But then Scott unfortunately died on the way back, but the letter was found later in these expeditions to try and find Scott's remains. So now we're going to go inside to see a bit about how they lived while they were stuck in the ice and on those long. So make sure you mind your head and use the railing.
අපි මේ ෂිප් එකේ ඇතුළට බහිනවා. ඔරිජිනල් නෑ ඇතුළේ යන්නේ. Kitchen. Ship kitchen.
Yes, the kitchen.
Very small kitchen.
Making food for 12 people there, yeah?
Yes, 12 people, yes. Oh, those are not original.
A lot of
But pattern is
canned food, yes.
Yes.
Loss. Make sure you mind
I
your
am.
head. You're going to-
මේ අපේ වගේම අපේ පාවිච්චි අර ඒ කාලේ
This is the original ship, right? This is the original ship, yes. You
අපේ
get to see
මැෂින් එක
it.
වගේම අපේ අම්මගේ මැෂින් එක වගේ මැෂින් එකක් තියෙනවා.
Yeah, well, maybe they had to like renew it because there's so many people holding it. But yeah.
මේ අපේ අම්මගේ මැෂින් එක වගේ එකක් තියෙනවා.
They have it so
අපේ ආච්චිගේ කෙටල් එක වගේ එකක් තියෙනවා. අර බලන්න. මාර. ෂෙෆ් හිනා වේගෙන ඉන්න බේක.
You see the engine room. But here you see where they sit.
Claustrophobia. And නැතුවේනේ. ඉතින් මෙහෙමනේ හොදලා වේල ගන්න බෑනේ.
Not a lot of luxury.
Machine maker.
Here there's several people that need to...
Oh. The captain's room.
Oh no, here is just one. Okay. No, here is
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh shit, here is again. Sleepy. And the wife can
You have to mind your head here.
The 13-man crew of the first young expedition lived closely together for nearly 3 years. And most of their time off duty was spent in this saloon area.
See here, there's 5 people sharing 3 beds
Beside the
because there's always shifts.
Shifts,
There's always
yeah.
somebody working, so 3 beds was enough.
of the saloon. Heating was provided by a powerful oven located between the 2 bunk cabins. And electric
books,
lighting was powered by the window
lamps.
with
The lamp
additional
perhaps.
parallel lamps when needed. There was little separation between officers and crew, and all the men, except the cook and his assistant, ate meals together around the saloon table. Only Nansen, Sverdrup, Scott Hansen, and Plessy had personal cabins. The two larger aft cabins, although small, were designed for 4 men each. But during the expedition,
So they had 4 private rooms and then 2 that were shared with many people.
no smoking room everywhere under them.
You smell the old oil.
Yes, all oil.
You okay?
Yes, yes.
The engine room.
It's the prisoners like prisoners corner. It's like a prisoners
Cell? No, the storage. They didn't have prisoners cells.
beer.
It's a very small crew, 12 people and the captain. So the crew members had to have many different roles. So they had to like be scientists. because
මෙච්චර
they had to
තඩිනාකට 12 දෙනයි crew එක ඉඳලා
they also
තියෙන්නේ.
had to be able to repair the motor, and somebody had to be able to cook, or maybe 2 people, and
Original.
many roles.
And they drink beer also.
Yes. So that is a Norwegian bokøl. It's like a very dark, strong beer. Because that bok, yeah. So they will that will last a long time, right? The strong beer.
97 dogs were loaded, which increased to 116.
Frames ධාන්‍ය වර්ග.
And
Think it's too dark to film, or
sheep that were kept for fresh meat took up most of the deck space.
I can't remember. I forgot the ship's
If
name.
you're going to
From
win, there must not be a single transfer button missing. And so, as well as food for the crew and the animals, the ship was loaded with everything imaginable, from engine and heating fuel to building materials and tools, and from scientific and sledging equipment to a piano. The men had individual cabins and dined around the same table. And all on board, including Amundsen, were assigned roles and tasks in addition to the normal crew work required on a sailing ship. Even when the sailors were
so here you can see really well that the extra reinforcements.
Yes.
Because all the ribs of the boats are very close to each other. Very solid.
chain වල
Extra
ලොකු.
beams.
chain වල ලොකු. මා තඩි ලීවේව මෙහෙම තිබ්බට ගොඩාක් thick. මේ නැවේ මේ යටම කොටස වගේනේ තව චුට්ටක් තියෙනවා මේකේ යටව එතනින් එහා මූද.
I don't know if you noticed on top of the deck that there was a small windmill.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is to provide electricity.
Uh-huh.
So for electric lighting, there wasn't a lot of volt coming
Wind
out,
power-
but
wind
enough
power, yeah.
for electric lighting. So of course, one of the crew on board also had to know, be an electrician and know
Yeah,
how to fix
fix
this if
this.
anything happened.
ඉලෙක්ට්‍රිෂියන් කෙනෙකුත් ඉඳලා තියෙනවා ඒකේ.
The crew made their final detailed preparations for establishing the shore base to support the sledging expedition. The ice provided a source of fresh water and seal meat, and the men started to use their sealskin clothes. Following the success of the expedition, it was later found that Amundsen's eye for detail had meant that absolutely nothing had been
So that brand is still like a famous Norwegian brand of, you can still find it in the supermarket, Setrechecks. It's like dry biscuits that you use for like cheese or dipping. So they brought a lot of dry biscuits that last several years.
බ්ලැන්කට් එක මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. කොහමද ඔක්කොම ආපහු ආවනේ නේද ගිහිල්ලා. නේද? මේ ටකරකා. මේකේ ටූල්ස් ටික. නැවේ තිබ්බ ටූල්ස්. මැෂින්ස් අර යතනක් තිබ්බ මැෂින් එකක් මෙතනක් තිබ්බා. යනින් ගම මහා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
You can buy them in a gift shop. Those, I think.
අපේ අම්මගේ
Of
මැෂින්
course, you have to be able to make repairs to clothing and to the sails. So that's why they had a small sewing
හැම
studio.
වර්ගෙම අය ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. Tailor, electrician,
Many different roles that the
Yes.
crew needed to be able to fill.
baker.
Yes.
Can I go? තවත් ඇඳක්. මේ ඇඳ. ඒ පියානෝ එක
When you're out for many years,
මේ
somebody
නැවේ
has to be able to
12යි
repair
ගියේ.
the clothes,
Fram
repair
නැව.
them, and repair the sails if anything happens. So, yeah, the crew had to know a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Piano as well, yeah.
What are these?
These cabins are on a later expedition. Then they rebuilt the ship so that all crew had their own cabin. So the first part was for the first expedition when they could share, but now the second and third expedition they all had their own. It's better for the morale if they don't need to share the bed.
guns. Guns and blankets.
Yes, and woolen
Winter
sweaters and
Winter clothes.
anorak, yes, of seal skin
Yeah.
because that's really watertight.
Skin.
Seal skin.
Seal skins. Oh. Sledges also. Ski sledges though?
Yes, the sleds
Sledge.
to be able to like carry things
Yes,
over the
yeah.
ice for a long, long time.
Oh. Very, very big chain. They are
Of
storage.
They not on the first expedition, but on the second one, they brought some pigs, so they would have fresh meat on board.
Yes, yeah.
Of
And
course, people need to be able to go to the toilet.
And chicken as well.
Chicken.
Yeah.
as well.
I don't think the chicken survived as long as the.
Washroom එක මෙතන යන්න ඕන යන්න. ඇයි ඉතින් අපි washroom එක දැක්ක ගමන් යනවනේ ඒකට. Flags
Yeah, to be able to plant them everywhere.
and books.
අපේ මොඩල් එක විදිහට ගස්සින් නේ.
Oh, so many rooms now.
Yeah, so the later expeditions
yeah.
a lot more luxury. They had some more privacy.
I think they have more sponsors.
Maybe, yes.
Sponsored by King, I think.
Not sure, actually. Because we were under Sweden then. I don't think the Swedish king wanted to promote
To
this.
promote, yes. But I think they are very rich. This captain is very rich. Oh,
Yeah, to be able to do
Yes.
this. Yeah. Yeah, so everything breaks and needs to be repaired.
Yes, yes, yes. Map. It's the different
This is the South Pole.
South Pole. South Pole?
This is South, yes. So the third expedition was to the
Third expedition.
Yes, was to the South Pole. When Amundsen wanted to win over Scott with the English.
They have so many sewing machines because like a garment.
Yeah, I guess that one is more heavy for like
Yeah.
thick garments.
Yes,
than
they
that
can.
one. Yeah. So we needed to be able to repair everything that broke or breaks. So they needed to make adjustments to the sleds.
My husband get workshop
or
කරා.
repair them. Yeah.
Kitchen, hello baker. Eggs තිබිලා තියෙනවා. avocado වගේ දෙයක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා.
Yeah.
kettles.
ලොකු
ලොකු කෙට්ල එකක් තිබිලා මේ ලොකු කෙට්ල එකක් තිබිලා තියෙනවා
Expedition.
තේ හදාගන්න.
First part that we walked through, and then people had to share a room. But then the second and third expedition, they had more privacy. Everybody got their own room, so they rebuilt the ship and gave a bit more privacy and more space for the crew. Then they had to be able to prepare everything. So this is for, I think, preparing shoes, right? To put in.
අපේ ඕක තමයි.
Carpentry, more sewing machines, having
Yeah,
sewing
okay.
machines. You have to be completely self-sufficient for many years.
So one expedition lasted how long?
So the first one was 3 years.
Okay, so they had to carry food for 3 years.
Yes, but of course you can fish and shoot polar bears and eat that.
Oh, you were not.
In the north, yeah. So they did eat like polar bear meat and fish along the way. So, yeah. And most of it they had to carry.
Fish and polar bear.
Yeah, in the north. South
Seal.
Pole penguins. And yeah, seals of course, yep.
seal also.
Seal.
Seals.
Seals.
ඒ ටොලබයා ඔළුව.
You see that they had pigs on board.
Yes. පිග්ස්ලා මේ ඒ ඔන් බෝඩ් මේ පිග්ස්ලා ඉදලා තියෙනවා. මේ පිග්ස්ලා පණ පිටින් ගෙනිච්චනේ. ඉතින් ෆ්‍රිජ් නෑනේ මරනවා මේක ඇතුලේදී. ඕකනේ මම මස් මාළු කන්න නැත්තේ. මට හිතාගන්න බෑ මනුස්සය ඇත්ත මනුස්සයෙක්ද ඩමියක්ද කියලා. අනේ ඩමියක්.
一堆在北一梦。
life.
Can you imagine being stuck on this for 3 years? In the ice, stuck in the ice, and having to be just on board here.
Oh.
It's incredible.
It's a big
Sorry?
sacrifice.
Yeah, you wanna stand there, and I can take a picture from there.
Yes, yeah.
From there.
Okay, shall I leave you the phone?
Or shall I